Welcome to the Archetypal Mosaic. I'm Mikhail Tank. Today we have a very special guest, a singer-songwriter who is truly incredible, elegant, and brings back the flavor of the old times in a new way. It's Spencer Day. Welcome, Spencer.
Hi there. Great to be here.
Spencer, how are you doing in the beginning of the new year of 2016?
I'm good. I'm still working on my resolutions. I think I was so busy working kind of through the new year, I didn't get a chance. So I'm about to get those going, which I'm really looking forward to.
Can you share a couple of those with the listeners?
Yes. Yeah. I'm still in the process of coming up with all of them, but one would definitely be to trust my instincts more, which I know is a really vague and broad one, but I think I tend to second guess myself, and I think trusting my instincts more, and really focusing more on health, blah blah blah. I still got to come up with some of the more interesting ones. So far they're pretty general, like watch your diet more, all of that good stuff.
Trusting your instincts is really, I agree with you on that, and the archetypes are like keys for the soul. They allow us to access certain energies which are primordial, archaic, and access that, and that's also where our instinct lies. Instinct is a very archaic, primitive in a good way, place, and a lot of times our society and what the things that we need to do and the way we need to appear, it's like layers and layers put on top of the instinct, but the instinct is truly the archaic, natural source. So yeah, I wish you the best in that.
Well, thank you. I really feel that too. That there's so many years of humans that we've learned to trust what society tells us. These are the people you should be hanging out with. These are the people that you should work with. That we've gotten a little bit out of touch with what our gut, for lack of a better word, is trying to tell us. So it usually doesn't end up being wrong. So I think it's just kind of a little recalibrating and shifting focus to trust my more immediate feelings about things.
Now, a slightly off question, you're a true artist, I'm an artist, we're both do music, you of course do it professionally and full time. When you were younger, a kid perhaps, did you have any stuffed animals or imaginary friends that were close to you that helped you build your creative persona?
Well, I had both. As far as whether they helped me build my persona, I'm not sure. I suppose they did, but I definitely had plenty of imaginary friends, and I had a stuffed animal, a stuffed lamb, that especially was my favorite, and I kept it for way longer than I think most kids do. And my dad threw it in the trash, and I remember chasing the trash truck down the street trying to get it. And as an adult, my mom bought me another one because she knows how much I liked it when I was a kid.
Have you ever written a song about your magic lamb?
I have not. Or my pillow, which is my other best friend.
Is it the same pillow that you've had since you were a kid?
That I lost it somewhere along the way, but I had it all through my childhood. Yeah, but that would make for an interesting song for sure.
I think so. I actually am sitting here with. Some people think it's strange, but it's the year of the monkey, and I've always had my little monkey with me since I was a kid. It was a present from a French friend back in the early 80s when I was still a very young child. And I always keep her with me when I travel or when I do interviews. Now tell me...
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Lambs, it's just kind of a parallel thought, but Mariah Carey calls her fans lambs and lambly. Have you ever been... do you respect her or find interest in her work and her songwriting and singing?
Yeah, I haven't followed her career much. She's always been, sometimes it's like someone as big as Frank Sinatra, where they're such a part of the culture that you really have to take a step out to appreciate their talent, because I think I haven't really followed her career much except from the periphery, because it's such a huge part of pop culture. It'd be impossible to miss her. But I think as I've gotten older too, especially appreciating her earlier recordings and all of the things she's able to do with her voice are really, really impressive. Like, she's got a very amazing instrument. So yeah, I haven't followed her intimately, but definitely deserving of the attention and accolades.
Now, what makes you two very similar is the fact that both of you write your own songs and sing them. There's a lot of artists out there who do not write their own songs, but you and her do. Now, I remember...
I didn't know Mariah Carey wrote all her. I know she wrote her Christmas song, but I didn't know she wrote her other hits. That's great. Oh,
yes. She either wrote or co-wrote every single #1 song she had except the covers. Like I'll Be There, of course, is by the Jacksons and stuff. But every other single #1 has been, and every other song of hers, aside from covers, has been co-written by her. A lot of people don't know that, but that's where...
I didn't know that. That's even more impressive.
Yeah, and you do that, and that's even more impressive as well. I remember being in a car a couple of years ago and hearing The Mystery of You on the radio, and I thought to myself, I have these rare things. I rarely listen to the radio, and when I do, when there's a song that it's just so incredible that I'm like, who is this? I have to find out who this is, and I have to buy their album. I have to contact them, and I have to, gift this album to people. That year, it was you and Alexandra Stan, who was the Romanian artist who did Mr. Saxo Beat, and I went to Transylvania that year, so it really fit. But your song, The Mystery of You, was so elegant and so incredible, I just kept listening to it over and over again, and then you were nice enough to send me a signed disc back a couple of years ago. But tell us about the process of writing a song such as The Mystery of You. I mean, for me, I honestly consider that song to be on par with No Ordinary Love by Sade and some of the greatest classics in modern pop music.
Well, that's a huge compliment. Thank you. Initially, that song, the melody I had for it was, I had written like a film noir song about a detective, and kind of like a Postman Always Rings Twice thing about a guy who is heading to the gallows, and the end of the song ended with him getting hung because he killed a woman's husband for her or something. So it was definitely still film noir, but I never was fully happy with it, and I met up with Durkin and Rogers, who are huge pop songwriters, who have discovered Rihanna and have written a bunch of huge hits, and they had mentioned in passing that the new James Bond movie was coming out. So that got me thinking of kind of reimagining the song as a crime scene, where the crime is that your heart has been stolen. Mm-hmm. So I kind of started from scratch with the lyrics, and then it kind of turned into what it is. I changed the feel to give it more of a 60s feel, as opposed to originally it was like a swing number. And so I went through a couple different incarnations, and I'm really pleased that I decided to tweak it at the last minute instead of going with the original lyrics, because I don't think it would have done quite as well.
Tell me, who makes all the arrangements for the music? I mean, it's got a whole orchestra feel to it.
I did a lot of that. A lot of that is me. The string arrangement is one that I did for it. The other core arrangements, part of it I worked with. They co-produced the record, Durkin and Rogers. So the drum grooves and a lot of that, the dulcimer, were Carl Sturkin's idea. And then the string arrangement, I mean, I'm always at the helm for most of the arrangement ideas. I've usually got a pretty clear idea of what it is I want to do and what kind of sonic landscape I want to create. But that was how that one started. Is he started the song was already written, and then, you know, we started coming up with the drum groove, and then, you know, I was hearing the Middle Eastern strings, which I also used on Till You Come to Me, and I'm just a really big fan of that sound. And it kind of just went from there.
There's a lyric there that says, someone pushed you up against the wall. Did that come from any real experiences? Because when you sing it, it sounds so real.
No, I mean, I've definitely had people kiss me up against the wall before. But I would say that with that, I was really trying to imagine it like a crime scene, so you're almost describing a very aggressive situation, and once again, you're talking about being a victim of a crime and that there was nothing you could do and that you lost your memory, all these very film noir kind of themes, except the one thing that's gone missing is your heart.
And in this crime, overall, are you satisfied with the crime, or are you upset with it?
Oh, yeah, I think that's the kind of twist in a Cole Porter sense lyrically, is that you're gathering the information about this person, you're gathering the evidence, and you're going to turn them in, and that you're happy that the crime is stolen. You're just determined to find out more about who this person is who stole your heart.
And in a way, you want them to remain in your life, correct?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Okay, very good. It's a really beautiful song. Now, let me ask you about, as an artist, atmosphere. Atmosphere is so important to me. For example, it's raining now. It gives me extra energy. When there's too much sun out, I feel lethargic. How does the atmosphere around you play into your songwriting, into your creative abilities, and which atmospheres are best for your creativity?
You know, it's funny because, you know, living in Southern California, I would say generally for my mood, you know, sunshine is best, but I think for actually being creative, a good rainy day like we're having today is kind of hard to be. I think being somewhere tranquil, with some nature around me, even if it's just some trees to look out outside the window or something, is really helpful. And having some solitude. But I'd say, actually, for writing and creating, a rainy day might be the best. Though my favorite weather is you know, a good Southern California sunny day. I just don't get as much work done on those days.
When you do want solitude, where, you don't have to tell me a specific location so nobody bothers you, but what kind of an atmosphere for solitude is best? Is it a dark room? Is it nature, stream, or what?
I like going somewhere really remote. If I end up, which I will do sometimes on Airbnb, or find a little cottage somewhere, whether it's up in the Redwoods or I love, one of my favorite places to write is in upstate New York. I have a friend who lives near the town of Hudson, and any of the Hudson River Valley up in Woodstock. I love being up in the woods and the trees. And here in Southern California, I'll often drive down to Mexico and get a very simple place. I always try to get a little house that doesn't have a TV or any distraction, and just me and the elements, whether it's the ocean or a forest or a waterfall, and just try to find somewhere. I say that I take myself on artist dates, which I think as an artist is very important to kind of take yourself on romantic trips. But yeah, there's nothing like being around nature for me, I'd say. And a lot of the places I've lived, whether up in Malibu, Topanga Canyon, or even now in San Diego, I'm on a canyon. Now I really love having some nature in my backyard. There's nothing like it.
And you know, that's a fantastic concept, artist dates, and I think that would make another great song. I agree with you because I do the same thing. I've never called it artist dates, but I concur with you on that, and I think it would make an incredible track for other artists.
Yeah, I think it's really important to not just expect the creative child that's inside you to come out and play. You know, if you don't, to play is the thing. That's the word, right? So it should feel like play, and it should feel like a pleasure. And even if you can't get away to the woods, and there's many times where you can if you're writing a song. setting up a nice space, lighting a candle, really making it a beautiful event to go and create, I think is really important, as opposed to just sitting down and saying, okay, brain, be creative, write me something.
Yeah, in a way, what happens is it's almost like giving space to the deity within yourself and allowing that deity to feel the pleasure to come out. And a lot of times when people assume people are divas or devos when they want, when they have big writers and they want space, and I'm not saying that any of that applies to you at all, but I can completely understand where they're coming from. They just need the space for their creator energy to be free.
I agree. I think space is a really underrated, space and silence are really underrated things in our world in general. And a lot of people may meet a famous person right before they're going on stage and say they seem standoffish, but right before you go on stage or do anything like that, especially, that's when you really need, at least for me, I really need a moment alone to think about what I'm about to do, to really focus your energy, to meditate, pray, whatever it is that you've got to do. And it's a kind of a really sacred time, and I think that a lot of people who may not be doing that don't really, they're not really sensing that, or they don't really get that. But as I've gotten older, I've realized if I have met performers, and some people are just rude, that's a whole other thing. But when I've tried to respect and not take it personally before or after a show, a musician seems a little reserved or kind of play, because many artists and performers especially are introverted extroverts. So that meaning that they can be extrovert when the time comes, and lots of people I've heard, Eddie Murphy, lots of when I met Sacha Baron Cohen, that was my impression of him too. Lots of comedians, especially, can be so dynamic and so big, but if you meet them in real life, a lot of people will say time and time again how reserved they seem. And I think, if you're an extrovert person, especially for a living, you have to recharge. And for me and a lot of other creative people, that means spending time alone.
Yes, you and I are so in sync on all of this. I completely agree with everything you're saying. Now, let's go to your influences and inspirations. Who are some of the people that influenced your music, songwriting, and singing abilities?
There's been so many. It's always hard to narrow it down. I'd say for kind of modern singers, I'm a huge fan of Chris Isaak and Katie Lang. So I listened to a lot of them growing up. A lot of Chet Baker. A lot of Marilyn Monroe, actually from old musicals. And I would really imitate, when I first started singing, because I didn't have a big voice, I would really imitate a lot of female torch singers from the 50s, and Chet Baker, because he also was one of the few male singers I heard that kind of sang in that style where he was really breathily crooning along to something. But they're the people who really influenced my singing style. But there's so many. There's so many people I love as songwriters, whether it's Cole Porter or Paul Simon, or I'm a huge Rufus Wainwright fan. I love Fiona Apple. I'm all over the map.
Fantastic. Now, I saw you live at Catalina's Jazz Bar and Grill, I believe it's called, in Hollywood. You did a truly fantastic performance. Tell me about that evening. How important is the crowd's energy, and what did you feel that night? What made it a special show?
Well, I really believe that any good performance that you go to where people feel there's electricity in the air, it's really a two-way street. It's a combination of the energy the audience is giving and the performer giving that energy right back. And in the best situations, you create this beautiful loop of symbiotic energy that's going on. And that's really what I feel during a good performance, is that the audience is really open to receive my energy, and they're able to not hold on to that energy but give it back to me. And it really elevates both parties in that situation. And it was a wonderful evening. It was the first time I tried out. I think I did about 4 songs which we had never played out before. And we wanted to start testing some of these songs out because we're heading into the recording studio, so you've got to start playing them out. So we did, and that's always a great feeling to see that the songs seem like they're going over well and people are enjoying them.
Tell me, how would you define energy?
Well, that's a really good question. I'm sure Einstein could do it much better than me. I don't know. It's an intangible, palpable feeling that you get. There's a buzz. There's an electricity in the room, I guess, for lack of a better word. And maybe energy is also present. That everybody, instead of being distracted by their phones or me thinking about something else while I'm singing, everyone is really in the present moment and really engaged and reacting off of each other. And if animals can sense when someone else is around them in the woods, I don't know why humans would be any different, that we can sense the energy people's carrying, which is going back to instinct. There's got to be some sixth sense that we don't fully understand yet scientifically about why, before someone says anything, we can pick up on someone being depressed or someone being happy or being good for us or being bad for us. And it's a very palpable but intangible thing.
Beautifully said. Tell me, you are a baritone?
Oh, yeah. I'm more of a bass, actually, but I fake baritone tenor in recordings.
And your performance, how important is the physicality of the expression of your voice? And how do you work on it?
I work on it pretty ceaselessly. I feel like it's, it's just like any other muscle in your body. Mm-hmm. Like if you were training for any other sort of athletic event, you have to watch what you eat. You have to be careful not to talk too much before a show, and you have to do a lot of warm-ups and keeping things loose and comfortable so that you don't strain or hurt yourself.
Do you use humidifiers for your voice?
I have been meaning to buy one for years, and I don't. I really, really should. Whenever I get a chance, if I can do steam before a show, that's really helpful. Your voice definitely likes warm and wet places, so doing shows when I'm in Las Vegas or something, that's always the place I could really use one. Sometimes the venues will provide them, which is always great.
And what's your favorite tea for your voice?
Oh, definitely the throat coat tea from Whole Foods, for sure.
Okay.
That feels good.
Now tell me about Vegas. I was going to ask you, I think you would make a great residency in Vegas. Is that something you're interested in the future?
I would. I'm not sure I would want to live in Vegas full time, because I like being near the water. It's just a comfort thing of knowing that it's there. I think my mom, as a kid, showed me a map of where we were driving from Utah to visit my grandmother in Arizona, and I cried. I was like 6 years old, and started screaming to my mom, "Where's the water? We're all going to die. There's no water there." So whether it's salt water or fresh water, I always want to live near the water. So I don't know that I could live in Vegas, but I would love to do a residency there. I think it would be a really great fit for what we do.
I agree. Do you have any siblings?
I do. I have 5 siblings.
Oh, wow. Okay, and then... yes, go ahead.
Oh, no, just big family.
That's great. Now tell me, your new album, which is currently in the works, and I heard a couple of tracks from it, which I thought were amazing. You're actually recording that at Capitol Studios in Hollywood, correct?
That's the plan, yeah. We're setting up actually 3 different dates, so we'll do one date at a smaller studio for the rhythm section, and then we're all doing the record live, and then I think the plan right now is 2 other live dates with the full orchestra at Capitol Records, which I'm really excited about. It's such an iconic place to play.
It is, and you fit that energy very well. What is the album tentatively titled? When is the tentative release date?
The album is titled Angel City, and the tentative release date is, I think, June 1st. Is what we're aiming for.
And what is it about Los Angeles and Angel City that has you so emotionally connected?
I think it's because it's a city that's built on dreams, and it's really a place much like the world in a sense. It's reflective of that, and America, that it's really what you make it. But it's a place where so many people come because they feel that the city represents something. It's not just a place; it's a state of mind. It's an idea, and ultimately, it's a fantasy. And so I think all the good and bad things about LA, so many of them can be attributed to it's a place that is built on other people's dreams. And I'm constantly fascinated by that.
What happens when someone's dreams, not yours or mine, God forbid, and God bless anyone who this happened to, but what if there's people, and there are people, who have been mauled in LA because their dreams have just turned into water, you know? Is there going to be any song about that, about the broken dreams?
Oh yeah, I'd say there's probably more songs about the broken dreams than there are about the dreams gone right. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's, you know, you couldn't have a city built on that without a dark side to it. And I think, you know, whether in film noirs or other things, so much has been written about the dark side of Los Angeles. It's a city that I think, like New York, is really impossible to know. And I have a very complicated love-hate relationship with it, but it's endlessly fascinating to me. Even when it's horrifying me, I'm fascinated.
I really hope that some of your work ends up on some soundtracks of some major motion pictures, because it's very relevant to appear in those.
I sure do too. I'd love to write more for film. It's such a great way to tell a story with your music.
What is your feeling about Russia, spiritually, soulfully, musically, creatively?
Russia? Mm-hmm. I'm a huge fan of Russian composers, classical composers. I've always wanted to go. I don't know whether now is the best time or not to head out there, but I'm always amazed at how unique Russian music is from the rest of Europe. Russian and Spanish music, I feel, has such a distinctive sound to it that is so easy to place. I mean, it's amazing the cultural wealth that country has given the world.
Thank you for that. I agree with you. I come from there, and I agree. As we wrap up the interview, I'm going to ask you just a few more questions, including what are some of the favorite songs that you've recorded, your originals, on your albums? What are some of your favorites so that people can sample them?
I really still love the recording we did for Till You Come to Me, because when we were in the studio and we had the string arrangement, at the last minute I kind of had everyone tune down their instruments a little bit so we could get this beautiful Middle Eastern string sound in. And I just knew when we were doing the recording, we made all these last-minute changes, because originally that was like a really slow, torchy jazz ballad. But I just knew that we were on to something good. So I'll always enjoy hearing that because of all of the kind of happy accidents that happened while we were making it. I really am fond of the song Somewhere on the Other Side. I think, and I really like the song I wrote called Summer, because I think it's just, it's one of my more interesting melodies. But I like all my songs. It's kind of like if you were a parent and you had a couple kids, maybe one of them's a little brighter than the others, but you still love them all the same.
Well said. And lastly, two questions. When you connect to, to Capitol, to your new album, to your previous albums, there's a feeling of nostalgia, like you're bringing forth an energy that's been non-visible, similar to Lana Del Rey and some other people. I'm not putting you anywhere in the same categories, but there's a nostalgic feeling that comes through you. What do you connect to inside? What kind of archetypal energy do you feel when you perform? What's coming through you, and where is it coming from?
Well, I think that we're all playing make-believe, and we're, even if you're conjuring up a time or period that you've never lived, and I think Lana Del Rey definitely does that. I'm a huge fan. I think that there's, your subconscious, for some reason, there's something about that speaks to you, whether that means you were there in a previous life or something, who knows. But when I'm up on stage, and especially if I'm with a beautiful big band in this intimate place, this little Mormon farm kid that I grew up as is suddenly able to transport myself to this world that I had dreamed about as a kid, of cocktails and late nights and the Hollywood that kind of may have never even existed, but existed in my mind as a kid, as this glamorous, dark, mysterious place. And suddenly I'm there when I'm singing, and so I want to transport myself and the audience back to this imagined world whenever I'm singing.
I'd like to say that with that answer, if I could choose, I'd nominate you for as part of the new Rat Pack.
Okay, I would gladly accept.
Now, where can people find your music? What's your website? And you also offer voice coaching and songwriting over Skype. Can you briefly describe and promote those things?
Oh, sure. Well, thank you for the opportunity to plug them. My website is just spencerday.com. I'm on Facebook and Amazon, and my music is on iTunes, Amazon, CD Baby, and up on my website. And we'll have the new record up there shortly as well. I've really enjoyed giving coaching for songwriting and vocal work in the last year. It's been really wonderful for me to share whatever knowledge I've gained over the years and be able to share those with other people. There's really no thrill greater than seeing someone grow and seeing that you can be of service to someone.
Wonderful. And then, lastly, your album, The Mystery of You, was released through Concord Records. How was that experience working with a major, semi-major label?
They were great. I had a fantastic experience. I'm still very friendly with them all, and I've actually been still writing for a couple artists, even though I'm no longer on Concord. I'm still very much in contact with a lot of the people that work there too. It's a challenging time in the record business, and I think I could feel that energy when I was there. But I have nothing but good things to say about my time with them too. They're a company that really believes in putting out good music, and they really passionately believe in the artists that they have on their roster.
Well, we've been talking to Spencer Day, songwriter, recording artist, and I would consider part of the new Rat Pack, somebody who brings true nostalgia back to music with soul and creativity and elegance. Spencer Day can be found on spencerday.com. Check local listings for his performances. And his upcoming album, Angel City, is that correct?
Yes.
Will be tentatively released this coming summer. Thank you, Spencer Day, for joining us on the Archetypal Mosaic.
Thank you, Mikhail. This has been such a pleasure.